Hi. Hey guys, my name is Chanel Perrillo, and I'm a casting director and producer based in Los Angeles. I've cast shows like Drag Race, F-Boy Island, the Real Housewives franchise, and Million Dollar Listing, to name a few. I want to welcome you to Shut Up Chanel, a podcast where I take you through my LGBTQIA plus journey, while each week I get to chat with the queer royalty that helped shape me. Buckle up, because I know you're going to want to tell me to shut up.
Shut up, Chanel! Shut up, Chanel! Chanel, shut up! Shut up, shut up, shut up, Chanel! Shut up, Chanel! Shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up, Chanel! Shut up, shut up, shut up, Chanel!
Oh my God. Welcome to the stage. Oh my God. I have my sister, reality TV personality, trans icon, performer, actress, known for her third season on RuPaul's Drag Race, Drag U, as well as being a trans rights activist. We have Carmen motherfucking Carrera.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? You look so beautiful.
Thank you. Well, actually, you guys are in bed with me right now.
Oh my God. In bed with Carmen. I've always wanted to
Yeah.
be.
I feel like it's the season, it's like cozy, it's like, the fall, winter, like, yeah, why not?
I love it. Where are you coming to us from?
So I'm actually in LA right now.
Hmm.
hmm
What are you
Yeah.
doing here?
A couple of projects. So the writer strike is over.
Woohoo.
And yeah, thank God. And literally, like the day after the strike was over, I got these three jobs. And so, shooting a film, well, part of a film, a TV show, a competition show, and a sizzle reel for something else.
Oh my God, she's
Yeah,
working. She's
of
working.
course. Of course. I'm a hustler. I always make things happen with, you know, the smallest opportunities. I try to expand on them. You have to.
Totally. Well, okay, so I started this podcast because I kind of like really just wanted to like go back to the beginning of like when I kind of my like LGBTQIA plus journey began. And it really started on the set of Drag Race when I met you. So I want to start with like, how did we meet? How did we meet? Give me your story.
So I remember meeting you on set, and I felt like you were probably the only person on set that I trusted because we were all like conspiracy theorists. Like we thought that everyone was plotting against everyone, and not even just the contestants, but like the production people, the producers, the writers, like we were just like it was a bit much. Like they even had to like call it to our attention, like, hey guys, like there's no conspiracy theory here. Like we're literally like piecing the show together as we go. Cause we swore that like, the producers knew what every single contestant's outcome was gonna be. So like we were trying to like figure it out.
Hmm.
And so yeah, like you were probably the only one that I trusted on set. But
Which is
then also too, I was trying to work you for information. So
totally, I mean, like part of me also knew that. Like I knew that like people were being nice to me because I made them feel safe and they felt like if they were like I could get things done for them. Kind of thing.
Mhm.
Or I would like have like look out for you. I do
Yeah.
remember the conspiracy theories though. Like, wasn't there a conspiracy
Mhm.
theory that like people's like rooms, like there was like you know how like you get the bill at the end of your
Yeah.
stay and like the hotel
Mhm.
had like fucked up a couple like and it honestly was an accident, but it like started this whole conspiracy theory where like every night everyone was like check under your doors, like did you get one? And so yeah,
Yeah.
what was another conspiracy theory you had?
Well, I think it was not just me, but like I just remember having conversations like when I would go to like either like Sutan's room or Manila's room, like we would always try to plot and see like who were they trying to get rid of next? And like if a challenge was made specifically for a queen to like, do bad on. Like I was always trying to like figure that out. I didn't really have a strategy back then. I would say like we were pretty I don't want to say naive, but we were more like on the genuine side because there really was no formula to like doing the show. Like I feel like now there's sort of like this template, that makes it a little bit easier navigating that process. But for us, it was just like super organic and like we didn't know what to expect. We didn't know what was supposed to be or like what,
Mhm.
the viewers even wanted. Like we were just there trying to figure it out piece by piece. So yeah.
No, like that. I mean, season three really kind of, season two, season three, season four, like those are the seasons that really wrote the blueprint.
Hmm.
That's why it's so historical. And that's what's so crazy is because we were living in the moment, not realizing that we were like a part of this moment.
Yeah, I would have never thought that they'd be on like season 15. That's crazy. Like back in season 3, it was still such a, I felt like it was still such a small like sense of like there was something special,
Mhm.
about it because finally the community had representation on television. It was something that we can all aspire to, like something that, you know, because before that it was just being in the nightclubs and everything that came with that.
Mhm.
And we were still not at a point in society where people were even exposed to like drag and like what it was. Like I remember back then I was still bringing my straight friends to the gay club for the first time to even see what a drag show's about. So that was like definitely during that time. So it was cool that it was like gonna be on TV and it was like something new, something fun, and like a true representation of like the club kids, because we were the club kids, like that we were the club scene. Because after Drag Race came about and then COVID happened, it was like there really is no scene anymore.
It's different. It's so well.
Mhm.
That's and like you. That's the thing is like you all were hand plucked from the club to
Mhm.
Drag Race. Where now it's like some of these queens haven't even been in a drag show and they audition. You know what I mean? And you can
Yeah.
get good. And you can get good from like watching online and all this stuff, but it's just
Mhm.
you were like because I remember the stories that you had of like Esquilita. Well, I'll let me pull it back a little. So I remember one, you're my final Heather that I've had on. I finally got all the Heathers on the podcast, which is so exciting.
Yes.
I was at the birth of the Heathering. I remember it was maybe it was seated at the hotel. I remember the four of you were hanging out and you were like, this is my interpretation and how I remember it. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember that like there were like there's natural grouping when you're on a set. It's like going to camp. You find your posse and you kind of stick with them.
Mhm.
And the Heathers were always together. And I just remember I don't remember the whole story. And I should have asked like the rest of the Heathers to tell this story. But I remember that one night it was like, oh, they're boogers and we're like the Heathers. And I was like, this is brilliant. And I didn't even know what the Heathers was, by the way. I like went home that night, I think, and watched the Heathers. And and I was like, and I knew it was like some 80s cult film, but I remember the next day being like, I have to tell the story producers this because I remember like hearing it at the hotel. And I thought it
Mhm.
would like make me look good. If I like had story for the story producer. So like wrote
Yeah.
them and I was like, listen, so those four have been wait, no, it was three of you?
Four.
Four of you, four of you. Those four of you, the four of them have been hanging out and like calling like Shangela and the other group of queens boogers. And they call themselves the Heathers. And remember, like before you would go in the workroom every morning, we would like get you in a good mood and we'd be like, what are you guys going to talk about when you walk right in? And I think that's when like a producer came up to you and was like, you guys should bring up that you guys are the Heathers. Do you remember
Yeah.
that? What do you remember?
Yeah, so okay, so me and Manila knew each other from New York. We weren't like close friends, but we were friendly. Like there was a lot of there still are a lot of queens in New York City, but at the time that I was performing and Manila was performing, we were like the newer kids, like we kind of like had already made a name for ourselves in the scene, so we're kind of from the same class, so to speak.
Hmm.
So we were already friendly. And Raja and Delta were friends. So what happened was Manila and Raja clicked. So that's what kind of brought us all together. And it was actually Manila's idea about the Heathers because Manila's older than me and so is Raja. So I was just like, what's the Heathers? Like, I didn't even know what that was because I was raised more on like Clueless, The Craft, like those were like my movies like that I was like, I'm totally one of them, like so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know about the Heathers myself. And then Manila let me know like what was it about and the gist of it. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. That's pretty dope. And the term booger is something, it's like that's actually an old school drag term. And it's just, I want to be nice because, like, now that I think, now I'm a little bit more
Okay,
mature now, so it is
let's
kind
just
of
say
mean.
for the record, this was 13 over like 15
I
years
was
ago.
like 25 years old, 24 years
We're
old,
the
but
same age, by the way. Like, were you born in 86?
85.
Okay, so we're like from the
Yeah.
same class.
Yeah, exactly. So honestly, like the whole thing back, because look, around season 3, drag was all about looking like a woman, feminine beauty, and that was pretty much what everyone was going for at the time. I even think if you can go back to season 1 of Drag Race, you could even see that the judges were sort of commenting about, I don't remember which drag it was, but it was like, oh, she doesn't even look like a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like that was kind of
Mhm.
like a sign of the times back then.
Mhm.
So booger was a term that you would address to someone who, doesn't look very feminine or put together or doesn't put that much effort in being glamorous and high glamour and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
that's where the booger term came from. Yeah, so that
It was
and
a
I kind
reality competition show. Like, of course, like, and
yeah.
it was a little mean girl.
Like we weren't being shady though. We were just busting balls, but it
Exactly.
wasn't like we were being like ruthless or like purposely mean to hurt anyone's feelings.
Mm-mm.
Although I know that that probably hurts people's feelings, but that wasn't really our intention. It was just a competition. Like we were just trying to like separate ourselves and maybe we were a little bit elitist, but
Mm.
that was only because that's what you needed to be in order to succeed at the time in the scene. We had no social media connecting us. We really had no language and we really didn't have, we were coming from a time that we're experiencing a lot of lack and like only, but so much space for so many performers. It wasn't like this big, broad, expanded mindset of, individuality and expression. We didn't really have that. It was kind of like a rigid, template of like how you should present. And that's, what made us successful. That's what helped us succeed. So, you know, I just want to make sure people know that it's not like we were just wanting to be mean. It was just kind of like it was what we were used to back then, I guess.
Exactly. And like raised on
Mhm.
movies like Drop Dead Gorgeous and stuff and like pageant world where it's like people are
Yeah.
ruthless, like the old
Yeah, it's cutthroat. It's either you're in or you're out. It's nothing personal. It's just you're either good or you're bad. You're either making me feel something, you're either making me want to be like work, yes, or just like, and that's it. It was just very cut and dry. There was really no ever like emotions put into it like
Mhm.
that, yeah.
I hear cis people say booger now too, and I'm always like, oh my God, it has
We
made
started it.
it has made its way. Even like it's so crazy. What does it feel like now looking back on your experience on Drag Race?
Well, honestly, I was very intentional because I knew I was gonna transition. So I did Drag Race on purpose so I could look back and be like, "Oh, like look at me, like as a kid or whatever." And that's what it feels like now when I look back. I just smile because like I love my full experience. Like me as a trans person, and me as a woman now, it's like I don't try to like hide my past. Like I was very intentional about like transitioning and being able to look back at my whole life in its entirety and be proud of every step of the way. So I look back at it and I'm just like, like my tenacity is what got me where I am now. And like that person that I was back then, it has a special place in my heart. It's like if you look back at your like I don't know, like school recitals or like a school play, or like you look back at you playing a sport and you watch the videos and you see how excited you are or whatever. Like it's kind of the same feeling. Like I
Mhm.
feel nostalgic, I guess, sometimes about it. Like when I even have some of my old costumes still and I'm just like, oh, that's cute.
I remember like us taught like there were like hints like and especially because I like on the last episode with Kylie like I expressed to her like she was the first trans person I had ever met and it was on the season 2 reunion, and I was still learning a lot. Like I was just beginning to understand drag. And so like I felt like there was like little hints where I think like you would tell me something like your boobies were like coming in and like
Mhm.
you stopped hormones or something. Like where were you at
Yeah.
in your transition when you did Drag Race? And I do have like
So,
one hilarious memory about you fingering yourself
um,
in front of me.
well, this is the thing. So my drag was always inspired by the trans performers in the show. I always wanted to like emulate that level of femininity because I would see other drag performers and it didn't stir anything up, any inspiration inside of me whatsoever until I got to know the trans side of the showgirl, aesthetic. That's what really inspired me to like want to be on stage and like really remember parts of my childhood where I was like, I wish I was a girl, like I kind of suppressed that for the most part until drag kind of like allowed me to have a safe space. So I knew a lot of trans performers and they explained to me the process of transitioning and explained to me what my body would go through. And I was under the impression that you couldn't be on Drag Race if you were on hormones or transitioning. Like I know that it was never mentioned contractually, but I felt like there was like this unsaid rule that like you couldn't be. I don't know where that came from exactly, but I just knew on a subconscious level that, you know, it wasn't something that I can be open and talk about. And so when I got the audition and when I got the call, like, oh, you're going to be on the show, I was like, I cannot tell anybody at all. But I knew, like, I had my medication waiting for me, like I knew that I was going to start. And I don't know if you remember, but there was a break. We had like a 2-week break in filming. I think we filmed like 1 or 2 episodes and then they sent everyone back home. And then we had to come back 2 weeks later. And during those 2 weeks was like, I was so tempted to start taking my hormones, but I was just like afraid because what happens if like I was gonna grow breasts like on set? I don't know how long we were gonna be there for. So I had started taking testosterone blockers because I knew that that wasn't going to feminize me necessarily, but it was gonna like because I was 25 at the time, so I was like, listen, like I gotta make a decision now. Like I was
Mhm.
not in a rush, but like I had a sense of urgency. Like, okay, am I gonna transition or not? So I started taking testosterone blockers, and then during those 2 weeks, and then when we came back, I was like, okay, I can't, I shouldn't take this anymore because I don't know, like what happens if I get caught? Like, I was like scared.
Which is
So
so
whatever.
crazy to think about now.
Yeah, I was nervous. Like, I was really, really scared. Like, I felt like I was gonna be disqualified, or I felt like, I don't know. Like, I was like really scared. So I remember once a couple of girls got like eliminated, I got started to get real comfortable, and like I think it was maybe around the time that it was before like I got sent home and came back. It was like 1 episode before that. And I was in Manila's room and with Raja. And I remember like it was just a mess. Like there was just like a whole bunch of drag like everywhere. You know how it always is when we hang
That
out.
wait, are you talking about like that main room that we would all hang out in?
No, I think it was in Raja's room. And we were sitting on her bed and she just had like all her stuff everywhere.
Mhm.
And so I was just like, hey guys, okay, I have to tell you something. Cause I just couldn't keep it in anymore. And then, yeah, and then once I told the girls, it kind of like carried on set. Like I would just be more, it would kind of just like come out, like things like that, like, oh, my boobs are sore, like my nipples are tingling, or like stuff like that.
Because you like felt
Yeah.
more comfortable now that like you had told them.
Yeah. And plus, like half the girls were gone already. So I was like, all right, I'm fine. If they send me home now, I'll be happy. Because I wasn't really going there to win. I just wanted to go there to just like to have a time capsule of my experience. Like I wasn't in there like to be competitive and like, you know what I'm saying? Like be strategic or anything. I was just like innocently like, I just want to do my best, have, my drag be documented, be able to go back home, people to be proud of me.
Mhm.
And that's it because I knew once I got home, once I stepped off that plane, my life was going to change. Like I knew it. So I was like, at least I'll have some memory, to go back to just to remember, you know.
Mhm.
Mhm.
How do you look back at it now though? Like do you see
Yeah.
yourself like
The thing is that like I'm always gonna be the same person no matter what I go through in life, like I'm always gonna be the same person. So I carried that experience close to my heart. And I'm happy that that is my drag race experience is something that is profound and it means something to me. It's not something where I went on a reality competition show and it ruined my life or, it made me a evil person. Like, no, like that experience um helped helped sort of bridge those two chapters of my life together, like before my transition and then after, because right after that was when like my transition really, I think it was like a year later, which, a year after filming is still only the first Pride after the show airs because we filmed it. I don't know what they do now, but we filmed it in the summer. It aired in January. And so by the time the summer came back around for Pride, I was already like a year into my transition. My hair had grown out. Like I was already like where I needed to be in order to start, wanting to get my boobs done and like stuff like that. Like, so yeah.
Oh my God. I want to know what challenges have like what have been the biggest challenges of post Drag Race? Because I feel like I remember this period of your life where there was this like disconnect from like the gay scene. Because
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a lot of people talk about that either. Is like when you transition, like you're like it's your girlhood moment. And so like I feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's like there is this sense of like pulling back from the LGBT community. Can you like can because
Yeah.
I feel like that's like a topic no one really ever talks about.
Yeah, totally. So for me, it happened in like phases, right? So I was out there, I was performing, I was doing a lot. I transitioned and I was open with that on my social, but I didn't plan on, to stop performing ever. I didn't even realize that I was going to take any time away from the LGBT community. It's not something that I thought about when I was transitioning. It
Mhm.
sort of just happened. I I did the show, was on tour. I thought I was always going to be on tour until I decided to speak out about certain things that I didn't agree with,
Mhm.
and it was just sort of tied in with what was happening with the trans movement. And so once I got asked to get photographed by Steven Meisel, and then I got Elite, they signed me as the first trans model. Then it was the Victoria's Secret petition that sort of took me away from drag even more with the backlash I was getting
Mhm.
because I was speaking out about trans issues on the show. And so it was a culmination of all of those things. And what really pushed me, like, I guess, into another realm outside of the community was my separation and my divorce. Because I was honestly planning on being married to the same man that I was with before my transition and just being a trans drag performer. Like that was gonna be my life. That's what I
Well,
was like, that's
you
gonna be
were a
my life.
stepmom. Like I knew you as like
Yeah.
Carmen the mom. Like
Yeah. Like stepmommy during the day and drag queen by night. Like, I wanted to be one of the trans performers that I would see at the drag show. And, I had that for a little while, but God's plan, like things it was like a roller coaster. And so when me and my ex-husband separated, I had to live on my own. And I didn't know how to be like a woman in the world. I just knew how to be, stepmom and like part-time drag queen and Carmen Carrera from Drag Race. But those options had ran out, so now I was like, who am I? Like, who
mhm.
am I? And so I had to really like learn the ropes I felt like I was like a toddler, and I had to like really learn how to function on my own 2 feet and be strong. And I didn't really have that much time to like really enjoy my transition because I didn't I didn't have any privacy. Like I was already a public figure
Mhm.
and people wanted to know at the time, like, what's it like to be trans? And I'm just like, I don't know. Like I'm just figuring it out, So I took a couple of years to find myself and to find a way in the world. And that's what led to like the acting and led to other modeling opportunities because I was a little scared to like go back to like performing in drag and having to deal with those scary people that wanted to like, you
Mhm.
know, have my neck like over me critiquing the show. Like, so, it helped me. It worked in my favor because now at this point in my life, like I'm a strong woman without any of those things, without a man, without, a high profile job, without any of those things, I can still be and function and be happy, And
Mhm.
so now when I do work and when I do perform, and, I'm with somebody new now, it's like I have a better sense of who I am on my own and I can offer a little bit more now.
Mhm.
Whereas before it was like, I felt like I was running empty all the time. Like I really didn't have anything to give besides my soul because like when you're on TV it's like people want to know everything about you,
Mhm.
and I really didn't have anything because it was still so new, and yeah, so it was a lot to go
But
through,
look,
but
you spoke out and now like look at the show, you know? So it's like it
yeah.
sucks like being it's always like the first person to say something always like gets the most shit and then
Mhm.
eventually it evolves and it's like why were we ever mad at that person when they were right in the first place?
Yeah, no, totally. I honestly just think that people were more upset because and then my ego would get triggered, because they'd be
Mhm.
like how dare you say anything, like you should be so grateful, and I'm like I am grateful, but I also believe that we should treat these people with more respect. Like why should I have to kiss someone's butt as they oppress the people that inspired me? I was like in a very unique situation and I wasn't really going to get any clarity anyways. Like I felt like no matter what I would say, it wasn't going to be agreeable to all people. So yeah, eventually I just kind of gave up like arguing and stuff. I'm like, you
I
know
mean,
what?
that was kind of at the beginning of Twitter too, when like Twitter was like
Ugh, it was so bad. No, it was really bad. And like I even have like I was, it was funny because I was making a vlog and my manager at the time, no name, we won't say any names, but my
but
manager
I
at the
do remember the vlogs you were making. Okay, keep going.
yeah, I was making it just so happened I was making a vlog and my manager at the time called me and I was like, "Oh, let's pick it up." And I picked up the phone call and we go right into the issues of Drag Race, RuPaul, the producers and all that stuff, and he just basically said, "Oh, Carmen, I wish you would have never spoken out because now A, B, and C things are like this, and this is what this is, and this is what that is, and they're never going to change their mind about this and never going to change their mind about that." And I was just like, "Oh, I just got this on tape by mistake, but it was I felt like it was a lot to go through, to like experience, but at the same time, like you said, look at how the show is set up now, and the public has still supported me. I still have people from Drag Race that are like, I still love you, Carmen. And like, they're loyal. So I'm sort of grateful for everything all around because I'm a stronger person now. It would have never happened if I would have just been like a favorite and just been, complacent with the life that I was living before. Because, like now it's like I have so much more to experience and be happy about than what I had before. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
And no, it
Yeah.
totally makes sense, and, like, no regrets because it's like,
No, none.
would you let rather look back now 15 years later and be like, "Damn, like, I wish I would have said something back then," you know what I mean? And you could be great, you could like, everything isn't black and white, I'm learning slowly, but, like like, you could be grateful and wanna stand up for trans rights because trans women have been in the drag show from the beginning, like, from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
drag like, from the beginning. So it's like drag should have always been included, but it takes one person to start speaking about it. You know what I mean? And I think there was
Mhm.
always a wiggle woggle of like, let's get the show off the ground first and then, but it's like, but you
Yeah.
have a voice and you should have spoken up for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just wanted it to be like how I was used to seeing the shows back home. Like when I would go watch a drag show at Esquilita or at any of these places, you would have the cast come out, do a group number, then you'd have a big campy drag queen that would do like the best jokes and the best hosting, and then you would have like a variety show, and then the closing number was this like goddess, like trans woman, like, beautiful breasts and body, and like would really embody like high glamour femininity. And
Mhm.
that would leave people with their jaws open, like, oh my gosh, like what did I just witness? And then it would be the end of the show, and then the music would come on and everybody would dance and have a great time. And that's what I was used to like for years. So then to go into the drag race realm and be like, felt limited, to what the reality actually is, was for me, I was like, I have to stand up and speak for someone, because to be honest with you, I never really fought for it wasn't like I was like, I guess I was fighting for myself because I'm trans, but in reality, I was fighting for everybody else because it wasn't working for me at the time to like question authority or like question the
Mhm.
way
We
that
were
things
young. We
work.
were young. You're not questioning people at 25. You're like just trying to like make a name for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And like at the time, like I was genuinely just trying to like fight for everybody else, and so I guess it worked. Took a little while, but it worked. Now we have like Sasha Colby, and we have like, I mean, Kylie, like so many amazing trans performers are able to like give a lot of the girls that are trans that work at the clubs now hope that they can actually achieve something better and something more, which was what my intention was in the first place. So it worked out.
There you go. See?
Yeah.
You were the first performer I saw that would put appliques on their body.
Yeah,
Remember
my face.
you would be like, "This is my costume," and it would be like your little Ziploc with like your appliques. That's what they're called,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, pasties, appliques, yeah.
Well, I think of those like
Mhm.
those ones you used to wear that were like they were like pearl, like there was like pearls
Mhm.
all over them. Was
Yeah.
Esquilita your like first like was that your like starting spot? I kind of want to know like I know we're
Um,
both from New Jersey, but I kind of want to know like what brought you to New York. And I also remember you doing like you were a makeup artist. I have all these like fun facts in my head. Like I remember you telling me you like painted J-Lo and you were the first person to teach me the three. Like this was before contouring. Like
yeah. Yeah, so I wasn't able to paint J-Lo. I was studying to be a photographer,
okay.
and I got an opportunity to photograph her on the set of a movie that she did with Mark Anthony called El Cantante, right?
Hmm.
And from there, I was able to be open about me doing drag. And then Mark Anthony had contracted me to be J Lo for her 40th birthday party. So that was like the J Lo thing. But I was a makeup artist. That was my start while I was going to school for photography. And then I started doing drag in Connecticut and Hartford. I would drive all the way up to Hartford to play at the Polo Club. And then I would go to Esquilita to perform. So Esquilita was my home bar where that was the first gay club I ever went to. I had to like go through the ranks. Like I had to go do like a diva search, like an amateur show, like at Esquilita. Even knowing the management and everything, it never got me into the show. It was a very prestigious booking, a Saturday night show booking. It was not like anyone could just go. And
Hmm.
so I had done that. I turned it into a business. Like I would do all the amateur shows in the entire like area. So I would go Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Jersey, New York, Washington, DC, like the whole thing. And I would take all the Carreras with me. And you would win by audience applause. So I already brought all my girlfriends with me. So
So
we would just
smart.
we would just alternate. So like one night I'm performing, and then the next night this one's gonna perform, and then we're just all gonna cheer, and we're just gonna keep winning until we could get like actual bookings.
Mhm.
So we did that for a little while until finally I got like my Saturday at Esquilita, and you know, and then the rest was history. Because then not too long after, maybe like a year after, was when I did Drag Race.
Oh my God. I
Mhm.
I was so excited to go to Escalita for my first time because you guys had talked about it so
Ah,
much. For the kiddos listening that have never been, or to listeners that have never been to Escalita, like explain it. Explain like describe
So
it.
Escalita was it was the place to be. We used to call it Esco's. And basically it was all of like the like, I guess Latino, like urban influenced people. Like we all were like swaggy, like we had like really dope outfits. They played a lot of Latin music, hip hop and R&B music, and it was just where everybody would go to like show off. And like it wasn't just like the regular gay scene that was more like the white gays, like when you would go it'd be like everyone has their t-shirt off type of party. Like it was just a different scene. Like it was more trendy in a sense of like hip hop Latino type of vibe, you
Mm.
know? And so, but it was like really, it was like one of the most popular clubs at the time. So, and then they had an amazing drag show, and, everybody lived for the trans girls. And yeah, it was just so much fun. And it was downstairs, like at this, oh, I guess they call it the basement club, but I felt like they were being shady. But you go down the stairs and it was like $20 to get in, and it was $10 for drinks. And they were like this tiny and like little
So tiny,
plastic.
little, like little tiny cups.
Oh, it was such a ripoff. Thank God. Cause I think is that I couldn't afford to pay like every week to go there. So I got a job as a photographer because I was in college, and the club owner had a crush on me before my transition. He had like this big crush on me. I sort of like worked the system so that I would just like not pay to get in and not pay for any drinks. And I would just get to know the community by taking their picture. Like I was always like the picture person, like the photographer person.
Mm.
And I would get paid to be there.
I can't
And
believe you were a club photog.
yeah, that's who I was. Cause that was like my excuse to get close. I didn't know any gay people. Like I didn't know anyone. Like I was coming from a small town in Jersey to the big city of New York to like find myself essentially, to like learn who gay people are. Because the examples of gay people that I was exposed to and trans people that I was exposed to was like, Jerry Springer, and like just the thing, like it was like the thing that nobody wanted you to be. Like, it was like don't talk about gay stuff like that. It was just like not cool. So I went to New York and I was like, I need to find my people, and I did.
What was your
So
childhood like?
my childhood was my childhood was amazing actually. I really don't have any childhood trauma necessarily, besides the fact that like my father passed away when I was 2 years old. So I grew up with my mom and my sister and my grandmother, like super nurturing environment. My mom never like imposed masculinity on me. She never really critiqued me for being anything. Like she just wanted me to like have a good life and get my education. And I was like the favorite, like the baby of the house. Like I was raised with really good morals, and I was raised with people that were giving me great advice. It gave me like the good heart that I have. It gave me the positive spirit that I have. But when you are very like sheltered and nurtured, what you want to do is like go out and like rebel, and
Mhm.
like be opposite of that. So I guess I still carry that, and I'm grateful for that. But at the same time, I'm sort of happy that like I decided to go out in the city and like find, what the world was about. I learned a lot.
Oh my God, where are you at now? Where are you living at these days?
So I live in Miami now.
Do you
Yes,
love
I was
it?
living in LA for a couple of years, and I couldn't do it. It was hard for me in LA because LA is not a social place. It's not like you go out and catch a vibe like that. It's people are a little bit more standoffish.
I think I told you that one night. I was like this, like straight bars like don't get fun till midnight. Like everyone just stands around and looks at each other, and then like at like
Yeah.
12:01, everyone gets a personality, and that's when like guys come up to you and finally want to talk to you, and I'm like, I've been here all night. Like
Yeah, like I need something that's more alive. I feel like LA is just a little bit too dead for me. Like, you know,
you're such a
uh,
Miami girl. Like when you told me you
yeah,
were moving there, I was like, you're Miami.
yeah, like when you go out in Miami, it's like the streets are alive, honey. You're gonna find fun people everywhere you go. Like it just makes me smile because I love people so much. And so like it's just here in LA, it's hard to find like you'll find cute people, but they're kind of hard to find. And then sometimes when you do find them, they're out of reach. So it's like it gets frustrating. Like dating here was frustrating. It was so lonely for me. Like it was hard to find real friends because everybody knew who I was as Carmen Carrera, like, and it was hard to find the humanity in people here because everyone's focused on their work and being a star or working for one or whatever it is, that it was all a lot of smoke and mirrors. And so in Miami, people are beautiful, fun, and happy and free for no reason. And that's what I love the most. And there's culture and there's food and there's options. And, if I get bored, I can just like take a walk to the beach and it's a party, like and a big one too. Like there's just a lot of people, that will give you compliments for no reason. Like, hey, mommy, you looking good. Like whatever, and I kind of like, I like that. It reminds me of New York, except we're at the beach.
It is. It's like a coastal New York.
Yeah, and it's like tropical, like you get the weather is like makes your skin soft and luscious and beautiful. And it's just for me as a woman to develop my strength and my character. I don't want to be a timid woman. Like to be a trans woman, you have to be strong. But at the same time, I don't want to subscribe to being a trans woman and having that over my head 24 hours a day. I also just want to be a girl that has nothing to do with like anything personal. Like I just want to be able to swim amongst everyone else and still, have a good time and be me and be myself and not have to like hide, and like, oh, be all timid and shy because like I haven't developed my character. So Miami has given me that safe space. And now it's like I'll tell anybody, like, hey dude, like I'm trans. Like it's like what I'm saying? I'm more confident in that now because I have found, a place where I can give nuance to my experience and it's not something that is it's not so like weird out there. There's so many trans girls out there. It's like very obvious. Like, and people are not going to hate on anyone for it. They're just like, well, everyone's here, because they're there for vacation or they're there to party. So it's like, they're less like with a stick up their ass, you know?
That kind of I did want to like issue. Do you remember that one time you came and stayed with me at when I lived in when I moved into Raj's apartment, you came and stayed with me one weekend and you posted this video. I think it was called Chanel's Transphobic. the time at the
Yeah.
time I was like, what is she talking about? I'm not transphobic. Like she's staying with me. But
No,
like
for the
no.
record,
But
no,
looking
for
back, okay, you
for
for
the
the
record, you're not transphobic. And I think that what you were expressing was more for my own safety, because I mean, again, it's a sign of the times. At the time, the trans topic was something that was like not as widely accepted or people were not as educated about it. And so, yeah, like there was a time that, you know, as a trans woman, you couldn't always go out everywhere and be around just anyone because there's a lot of ignorant people out there. And a lot of the fear that I used to have from, to go to straight clubs and stuff like that was coming from that period of time, you know?
Mhm. Where
For
you
sure.
felt like there was this under like the fact that that's why what spurred that memory was you saying like I have no problem like telling a guy I'm trans now. Like that, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because I remember at the time that's why, okay, so for the listeners listening, Carmen was staying with me and I was getting ready to go on a date with this guy. And she was like, girl, can I just come? And I was like, oh, like, I don't know if I want to like explain everything. And like, first of all,
Mhm.
but now I'm so like younger, like, I would never say that now. You know what I mean? Like, but that was a younger version of me. And that's why I wanted to address this because I feel like it could educate people.
But that's also how things just were.
And I was
You
like, I
know?
kept going like Carmen, like it's not that you're trans, and like, but that's how it was then, and it was like, I was concerned, like I didn't want because you were like, I'll just go into it being like passing, like we don't need to say anything,
Yeah.
and so it was this like debate back and forth where I was like, no, but I would want you to say something, but I don't want to deal with drama from like scary straight dudes. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But
Hmm.
now looking back, like, fuck that. I don't need to hang out with anyone that I would need to explain anything
Yeah,
to.
but you know what, to be honest with you, and maybe this is me being a little like very like self-judgy, but like back then I was in no position, like I was not prepared anyways, because like after that, me going out like on my own, like I was exposed to a lot of things that I wish I was not exposed to when it came to the trans topic. And like, there was a lot of girls that I met that we would go and like be stealth, without necessarily being strong in who we were, so it was just a different time back then. Like it was also like way more dangerous because when you're dealing with someone who's uneducated and ignorant, and it's like a trans thing, it shifts the whole experience of the night. I remember like it makes things not fun, like it's like the minute that, like I remember like going out with my girls back then, like the minute one of them knew that we were trans or that if they spooked us or whatever, it just, the vibe was killed. It was over. And that sucks. Like I remember that. But see, like now nobody could fuck with me because like I am the vibe. So like when people approach me and I'm open about my transness, if they're being hateful or being whack or whatever, it's like I'm taking the vibe with me and leaving. I'm not dependent on anybody's vibe. Like I am the vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like I don't need you. Like
Yeah, exactly. Like I do not need you to like, because it was more about validation back then too, you
Mhm.
know?
We were young, well,
And
like that, and that's I was going out for validation, external validation, the same thing. You know what I mean? And I think
yeah, 'cause
I
it was
even I
like,
was like, I'm trying to get laid.
yeah, because honestly, like that was, I think that goes to show you like where we were, not only with trans topics, but also like just how women, what the society was back then. Like I remember those days, it was all about catering to the guy, and now it's like not like that at all,
At all. Like if I'm going
no.
out, it's because like I'm in a good mood and like I'm going out for myself.
And it's a privilege for these guys to talk to us now. It's not like, we've got to like play to their like BS, hell no.
I think it's because it was like I was watching, like, I was watching you go through your own puberty, if you will.
Oh, totally.
And
Yeah.
I think not enough people talk about that too. Like it boggles my mind that people think that you should wait to transition.
Mhm.
That's so weird to me because like you said, like you were 25, you were like, let's get this going now. Like, do you
Mhm.
feel like if you would have transitioned earlier, then like going into womanhood would have been easier? Or like I'm curious what you think about that.
No, I think maybe, possibly, because I would have been better prepared. But it's really weird that I say this too, because I don't know if anybody would get offended, but when they bring up the topic of like kids transitioning,
Mhm.
it's like if I had a 16-year-old kid that wanted to transition, I would be more lenient on the side of no. But if I was a 16-year-old and like I would have wanted to transition at 16.
Mhm.
So I don't really know.
You don't
I don't
know,
really know how to
see?
answer that question because I don't know. I don't know what that says about me, but it's like that's just because I like now that I transitioned, like to have a child of mine that wants to transition would be really hard because I know what I went through. But maybe my life would have been different and my experiences would have been different had I transitioned at 16 and would have been home, to transition. And maybe my life would have been a little bit different. But luckily for me, throughout my transition, like once I had gotten separated from my husband and I was like basically back home, my mom and my family like, taught me the rope, helped to teach me the ropes. Like my mom taught me how to cook like the women in my family cook and our traditions and our values and our views. My mom helped me to like find a partner, not like find a partner, but it was just like my best friend throughout that process of like separating, being single again, all the emotions. And like that really helped me heal, but also like gave me the validation that I was always seeking outside of myself through men or through even through my work. Like it gave me that validation at home, and that gave me that validation with the family, my family that's always been there for me since I was a baby, since I was born, you know, and that validation runs so much deeper. And I think that's what has really like helped me to be grounded and feel grounded in my womanhood right now. So maybe I would have had that experience if I would have, it would have just happened earlier. If I was 16 and transitioned, maybe I would have had that then. I don't know, but I know that it's not safe for us still. And
Mhm.
I know that a lot of trans girls don't have the same blessing from their family and the same, sort of guidance and things like that. So I really just feel grateful to have that.
Hmm. I mean, being
Hmm.
a woman's hard. It is hard for
Yeah,
me.
and like you need your mom, it's like it's a certain connection that, you have when you're a woman and like your mom is there to listen through this through to work through the things that you're going through and to listen to your issues and your problems as a woman. Like it's a special bond that you develop, like the mother daughter bond. And
Hmm.
so I was able to have that bond with my mom because she was so willing to give me that opportunity, you know.
Yeah, but if kids don't, that's right. Like if a kid didn't have that, then that would be really hard.
Yeah.
Or like,
Hmm.
it is, it's hard. It's like, because it's like part of being a woman is being objectified, like
Hmm.
sadly. You know what I
And
mean?
then having the tools that you need to work through that. And like I feel like, like my mom, my aunt, my grandmother, my sister, my girl cousins, that everybody that's older than me that like clearly has been a woman their whole life, like has the tool book,
Mhm.
that I needed. And I have that information now. So yeah.
What's advice that, like, not to get tic tac lunchy with you, but what is advice that you would give your younger self?
I would give my younger self, I would say to like chill out a little bit, like chill out and also learn how to feel things, because I feel like a lot of my young adulthood, I was trying to avoid my feelings and avoid my emotions and avoid any type of bad experiences.
Mhm.
And, although it might have been the fuel that I needed to succeed, it was also the healing work that I needed to do later on in life. Like I could have done that early on had I been a little bit more emotionally available.
Mhm.
And I don't think it has anything to do with like testosterone or estrogen or anything like that. I think it has more to do with just not wanting to fail, So I would try to give my younger self the advice of being more vulnerable and allowing myself to express full transparency of my emotions and my thoughts that I was, whatever I was going through. 'Cause I always wanted to be the strong one. I always wanted to be the one that knew what was going to happen and knew what to do in any situation. And I was that for my drag family. However, I never showed any vulnerability. And I feel like it would have helped create a tighter bond with some of the people back then. Cause I mean, some people died already, like, and so I kind of wish I would have been able to have a closer connection, but
How have
that's
you
fine.
learned to be more vulnerable?
I think it just starts with accepting all of my flaws and being retrospective, not just to judge myself and not to just, push myself, but to also like understand who I am and how I think versus who I want to be or what I want in life. And I think it starts there. And then from there is having the confidence to now vocalize that and share that with people because sometimes people only see the like finished product that's like polished and beautiful, but they don't know all of the work that went into it. So then they take it for granted,
Mhm.
so they kind of think, oh, well, you make it look so easy, you know? And so it's hard for people to connect with you and to relate to you. And if they're inspired by you, it's hard for them to actually apply that inspiration in their real life because they don't know what your thought process is. So, I do believe in, not obviously not being too vulnerable because that's also a thing, but being
Yeah,
vulnerable
that's
and not,
I'm either too vulnerable or not
yeah.
vulnerable.
Yeah. You can't be too vulnerable because then you're doing yourself a disservice. I really think that there's something to say about, working on your own issues yourself and, keeping certain things private, obviously, but you also cannot be like too closed off because then you come off as like a little bit arrogant or just disconnected and like out of touch, out of reach. And that's not who I am at all, but it's something that, requires you to like practice. It's, you just have to be willing to share certain things at the right time with the right people.
You're a bad bitch. You
Yeah.
really are. What's the most memorable moment of your career? And what do you still want to achieve? Like best, like yeah, I wanted like your favorite moment of your career. There's been a lot, so that's why I'm like curious which one you'll say.
Um, Gosh, I don't even know. I think my best moment in my career was being able to go to Life Ball. I walked for Jean Paul Gaultier and he did my fitting and it was just like a dream. And I had all these designers sending me stuff. Also like the Stephen Meisel shoot, the showgirl shoot for W was really big for me. And just that whole period of time was something special because I had access to what most people have access to when they're like a star in mainstream, where you have like you're meeting all these other celebrities, and you have that access, like I had that. I mean, I still have it, but it's just different now because I feel like the topic is less nuanced. Like there's so many trans girls now. It's like it's different now. But back then I felt like I was in like uncharted territory. So there was something that was like I felt very close to God too. Like I was really, really just grateful. I'm thankful that I wasn't like a jerk,
No,
like
you could have become a monster, Carmen.
no, totally, totally. But I wasn't, like I really wasn't. And I truly enjoyed every second of that. And then I think like walking New York Fashion Week for the first time was like a highlight for me. And then what I want to achieve, honestly, I don't know if it's bad to say, but like I I would like to walk the Victoria's Secret fashion show. I really, really would. I
I
just don't.
mean, you have to.
I want to. I mean, I would love to, but I don't know if that's, again, it goes back to what we were saying, like when you're the first person to like have like a different view or a different opinion, like you get the worst kind of treatment. And like that's why I feel like, you know, I don't know if they're ready for that yet. But I mean, there's other options. There's like maybe Sports Illustrated, would be cool. But what I really, really want is probably to walk Victoria's Secret. Like that's definitely, and I would want to do it just to put that whole thing, like to give it a happy ending, a happy storybook ending, that it actually did work out because I think a lot of the fans wanted that. It was what put me like in a whole different category of like mainstream and just exposure and stuff. Like it just did a lot
Mhm.
for everyone. So that would be cool. And I also want to write a book, a memoir.
I think it's time.
I
We're
know it might be time. I
like
have a lot.
we're in our like later 30s. Like,
I know. I have a lot of secrets.
oh my God, will you tell us one?
Yeah. Well, not right now, but you have to wait for the book. But just like, it's going to be kind of like a tell-all,
Okay. So we're gonna hear some tea.
some juicy tea about a lot of listen, let me tell you something. There was a whole year that I spent out here in LA
Hmm.
where I was very like stealthy vibes and I was living in a house full of girls and we would be up in Hidden Hills and we would be up in those houses and nobody knew my tea and we were like around all the Chris Browns and all the Tristan Thompsons and all the people and living my like best LA girl life. I mean, come on, like you live here so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like I was running in those circles for a little bit. So I
I
have
can't wait to
stories.
hear all of those. I think people would be surprised to find out that you're a prankster.
Oh my God, I am. Yeah, I am.
Like Carmen's like a huge prankster. Like she loves to fool people. We were just in New York City together for the Marco show,
Yeah.
and she brought a fart machine around, and the TikTok is so funny. So go to Carmen's TikTok if you haven't already and watch it. But it was so funny. But like I know that about you, but I think like yeah, you're one of those people that people just assume they're like just beautiful and like doesn't like I don't know like when I look at you like I don't look like you surprise me when you do pranks or like do jokes because you give off this like I don't know pretty girl.
Yeah, I like to make people laugh. I remember when I had a roommate back when I was living in Jersey, like I would hide in the closet till she got home and I would jump out of the closet, stuff like that, like scare. I like to scare people. I love to do the fart pranks. And I like to fart in real life, obviously, because that was the thing on Drag Race. Was I the first queen to ever fart on camera? I think I was.
And
That's
those
definitely
rooms,
on my list of achievements. That's
those rooms back in the day, y'all, they were like an office, like an abandoned office. And so like the Interior Illusions Lounge was like this room that they transformed into it.
Mhm.
And so the room was so small. So when you farted, like and I would sit outside the door and I heard it. It was that loud.
It's because all they were giving us was like Del Taco, like almost every other day. Like, oh, guys, we're having Del Taco again. Like, it was like one of the only options that we would have all the time. And my stomach was not used to like all the Mexican food out here in LA. Like,
Mhm.
I'm from New York, so we, eat other stuff like cheeseburgers and stuff like that. Like, we weren't used to.
A lot of El Pollo Loco too. There was a lot
Oh,
of
at Pollo Loco, that maybe that was the
it
one.
was I haven't like El Pollo Loco is what I associate with Drag Race because I feel like I ate that so much, like so
Yeah.
much. Oh my God. Carmen also like weren't you the one that was stealing the vodka from the room?
I sure was. So basically, the same room that we would film Interior Illusions, like or film Untucked, was the room that we would go into to get mic'd up before we go into the workroom. And they would obviously decorate the whole lounge with like bottles of Absolute. Nobody was keeping count of them, I guess. And so what I would do is I would take the bottles the night before and I would put it under the couch because it was the same couch that we would sit on. And but obviously they would take out all the alcohol every night. And yeah, and so we'd come the next day and mind you, like Raja was in on it, so was Manila. I don't think Delta was in on it because I think she was more like, don't do anything bad. Like we were just being bad girls. And we came in the next day because they saw me put it away. Because they better not just put the blame on me because they were accomplices. And they saw me put the bottle away. And then the next morning I came up and I was like, "Guys, it's in there." Like I remember this clearly. And we were all giggling the entire time because we knew that our bottle of liquor was there. And yeah, and like every morning we would just fill up an empty like Coca-Cola can or Sprite can and we'd fill it up as much as we could of the liquor and we would walk into the workroom. Like anytime that you see us walking into the workroom with a Sprite can or Pepsi can, there's alcohol in it. Okay, 100%. If you go back to season 3, anytime that you would see us walking in, okay, and then what I would do is I would spike everyone's Coca-Cola or I would just like throw some in there and we would just be like drinking like while we're getting ready for the challenges or filming in the workroom, we'd be getting drunk. Not drunk, but like buzz.
No, we were 25. You could drink like a bottle of vodka and be fine at 25. Now like a sip of
Yeah.
tequila and I'm like, I'm ready to go home. But I remember one day, it was like a dark day, and I got a call from the overnight from one of the PAs, and he was like, Chanel, I think you should come to the hotel. Like the queens are really drunk. And I was like, how are they drunk? Did you get them alcohol? And the guy, he was like, I don't know. And I was like, I remember like asking one of the like EPs, like, can I like the queens are drunk? Do you like I should go to the like hotel and da da da, like a babysitter. And I got
Mhm.
there and you guys were all drunk in that jacuzzi and someone was like, Carmen stole Absolute from set. And then after that day, there was like no more Absolute in the Interior Illusions Lounge.
I know. I know. Oopsie. Sorry.
But
We were
such a
crafty. I
so
think that's hilarious,
crafty.
though.
It's such a good story. And it's been so long that like I feel like the fans need to hear it. What? Do you have any upcoming projects you want to promote or anything like that?
Nothing I can promote just yet. Like I said, like I'm here. That's why I'm in LA now. I'm like shooting things and, working on some new projects. So yeah, nothing just yet, but I'll keep you guys posted if you follow me on my social media and stuff. I will let you guys know. I think I have a couple of shows coming up, like performances. In January, I'm going to Texas, and in November, I'll be at the Oasis in San Francisco. So kind of just like, you know, kind of working, but like it won't be out there just yet. So I'm gonna focus on doing some shows here and there and see the people. I still love doing shows. I don't think that's ever gonna leave. Like I absolutely love the mystery and I love the whole like, getting into character and stuff. It's my first love, it's my first passion. So it's hopefully something I'm able to do for a really long time. That's why I work out so much because I'm like trying to keep it tight and keep it right. I feel like if I don't work out for like a week, I feel like I'm all out of shape all over again. I'm like, gosh, I
And
have
it's
to
just
like really be
hard.
consistent with this.
getting harder. I remember you were like the first person, like, I remember you touched my arm one day and you were like, it's so soft. And I was like always so insecure about my arms. And I was like, what do you mean?
Oh,
And you were like, no, like you're soft like a woman is what you
yeah.
told me. And look, I never forgot it. And I was like, Carmen like loved my softness. Like you would be like, I love like like your soft body. And
Of course, like we have to understand something. Like I can't speak for every trans person, but for me, before my transition as a kid, I was always like I wanted to be a girl. So like I just love like women who weren't afraid to be feminine, and would like really enjoy being feminine and be creative with their femininity, with their perfumes or their makeup, and all those things. Like I was such like a fan, growing up because I'm like that's what I want. It's like any little girl that like watches like her big sister or like her older cousin like just slay. It's like you just like, yes, like I want that.
well, and that's what all of you were to me too. It was like it was a really weird time because I was learning so much from you all about being a woman as well.
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like I really did find my womanhood in y'all. And like I even remember one of my first Avitas, you let me wear your like iconic. I can't even believe I got to wear this because I would die to wear it again. But it was
oh,
like
the bodysuit.
the Carmen Carrera bodysuit. I have a picture.
Yes, somebody stole that. Somebody stole that. I have no idea where it is.
We have got to get Marco to make you another one.
I know, like remake it or something because girl, somebody
Yeah.
stole it. No
It's
idea.
the best. You're just it's just a nude bodysuit that like all the right parts are covered in crystals. And it was like
Yeah.
and honestly, the bun really was inspired. You and Sasha Colby always had
Oh yeah.
you two were like the updo queens, and I was, and like I remember when I was like figuring out my look, like that's what was like totally inspired me. And I would always wear the bun, and people would always call me Carmen. Like I remember that drag race cruise. That drag race cruise, you weren't on it, but so everyone like throughout, like I would hear from across the cruise ship, like Carmen, and I'd be like, nope, it's just me.
That is so funny. I remember that. And then when you got your breasts done, and people
Hmm.
were like, "You have Carmen's boobs." I think
Exactly.
Marilla that would always say that.
Oh no. Yeah. We were like it was like a sisterhood for sure. I remember
Totally.
you were like, we could make a lot of money if we made a porn together.
That's right.
There's still time. Okay, this was so fun. Did you have fun?
Yeah, I did. Thank you so much. It made my night so much better because I'm here, like my dogs are not here, so I'm just like,
I'm the
but
same way. Like I don't look forward to a vacation if my dog's not gonna be there.
no, same. And I was actually just looking up like vacation spots I can take my dogs. That
You're
would be like amazing. Like I just want to get them. Like I have two boys and a girl, so I want to get the girl like a little swimsuit outfit, and like get the boys like these little bucket hats. I was literally looking into it like a couple hours ago.
oh my God,
Yeah.
so many pictures. I love you. Tell me to shut up before
I
we
love you too. Shut up, Chanel. It's over.
over. All right. Have a good night. I love you so much. Call me as soon as you get back to LA.
Okay. Yeah, I will. I will.
All right. I love you.